1, 2, 3. Just gonna eat some bread. So in London, somebody decides to go stabby for some, looking for Jews. Haven't heard one Islamic leader come out and condemn that. Makes sense. But this stuff is going to happen in Australia more and more. And Labor Party in Australia is to blame. Also the Liberals, who are the cuckolds for the Labor Party. Some things are going to happen. And there's always a historical precedence. And I'll give you one example. Israel. Before the early 20th century, there were very few Arabs in Israel. There were Arab Jews, but the Arabs started to flood into Israel. You can call it British Mandate Palestine if you want. Because for work. Being the kind and considerate Jews that they were. Come on. A lady walking across. Whoa, there's one of the bin chicken. Being the right in front of me, there's a, what do they call them? Stalk. So the Israelis gave them jobs. They allowed them to migrate. Then they started their intifada. Australia is going to be the same thing. Either our leaders want this, or they're incredibly dumb. I tend to think they may have some kind of knowledge of it. But I think that it is that they need full hardcore authoritarianism because nothing they're doing is right for Australia. Remember, 20 years ago as of today, Australia had no debt. And about 22 million people. Today we have probably anywhere from maybe 28, 29 million people, and we're $1 trillion in debt. So, by that figure alone, immigration doesn't work, diversity doesn't work. And we're more divided than we ever have been. And I think this is what the Labor Party want. My theory is that they've been money laundering and backdoor dealing with everybody and everything coming their way to be able to put money aside for themselves and their crony friends. Now, when the accountability, they can't face the accountability. And trust me, our government holds nothing accountable. There'll be inquiries, and then it ends in the inquiry, an inquiry for that inquiry, and that's how it is. Nobody will ever be held accountable, but you also have to always interject crises into the system in order to upset it, so it takes its focus off looking at your corruption, mishandling, mismanagement. And this Labor government is responsible for total destruction of Australian civil society. And they continue to migrate, to bring in people at a record rate who will always be loyal to their home countries, send all the money they make in Australia, as much as they can anyway, back to their home countries. So the money won't be spent in Australia to make Australian jobs. It'll be spent back in their home countries to build their countries up. There's also the other fact is that these people who do come here and start businesses and do everything, they're never going to employ Australians. They employ people from their own tribes. Very interesting conversation I had with an Indian man. And he said that the reason, and he's a nice guy. I completely differ with him on every issue, but there's no reason to be uncivil towards him. And he said the reason that I would never hire an Australian is I know where I'm from. Where he's from a specific place. I won't mention. I remember the name. But he said, I don't need to second guess anything. They know what I mean. Also, they don't understand the Australian employment laws or anything. So if I was to employ Australians, my business, I wouldn't be competitive. And I was like, that is such a good point. Because he said, because the government your government has a law for everything, a rule for everything, and I can't keep up. And I was like, yep, we know. Good guy, nice guy. He actually plans to return to India because he said he doesn't want to raise his children in where he's from in Melbourne. He said, we've got kids now and I just don't want them to be raised here. It's really it's just the news. I'm scared because I don't think it's going to get any better. And he's right. The Australian, Victoria is, it's just the machete capital of the world right now. Even the Houthis and the the Houthis and the Tutsis. Who was it back in Rwanda and Somalia, wasn't it? They're even blown away by what's happening. It's all sort of state sponsored. Because the judges don't want to send these people to jail. Culturally it wouldn't be acceptable for them to go to jail, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what their excuse would be. Be something like that, along those lines, It wouldn't be culturally acceptable for them back in their country to go to jail for this, so we'll give them a good behaviour bond. Oh, we got a machete again. Now he went stabby. What are we going to do? We have to try again. Maybe we have to give him some hugs. You're sentenced to 10 hugs. But we keep importing it. There are some great migrants in this country who've done absolutely phenomenal things and great fitting. 20 years ago, when I went to university, more than 20 years ago, I met a couple of the South Sudanese lost boys. Phenomenal guys. I was so happy that they had found their way in Australia, and still to this day, I think they did really well. They were the Christian Sudanese boys. Some of them had missing fingers. One of them had a missing hand. From the Islamists that come in, and they were, but Islam manifest, but the one I know that one of them had become a security guard and had done pretty well for himself. One of them has he was working for the council. That's right, he got a job in the council, like the road repair crews. That's right, his name was Silver. He would fix the potholes. But and they'd always go to church. I believe it was on Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday they'd all go to church. Or, and they'd never be part of this crazy stuff going on now because they had earned their right to be refugees. Nowadays, there's no, it's just, you just come and you get given whatever you want. We can't exist like that. This is a Judeo-Christian conservative nation by its foundation. It can only exist as such. It cannot exist with ideologies that hate conservative Judeo-Christian values. These were the driving forces of all great societies around the world. There is, in the modern era, after the Industrial Revolution, there was really no nation that has developed without those values, okay? Without Judeo-Christian conservative values. And you may, there have been examples like China, but you can definitely, and the Middle East, some of them are but if you actually have a look behind those, they're not exactly the most developed because there's still extreme poverty and there is still slavery involved. And in our system, there wasn't until really the Labor Party started this mass migration effort, because now people don't have rights because there's such a large labour pool. The corporations and the businesses can just tell people you won't get any rights, and we'll pay you under award wages. And even though we'll sign your paycheck as you earn this much, we won't give you. We will always ask for $100 back cash. That's actually what's happening right now. And I'll tell you, the reason that the Labor Party want mass migration is so corporations can get cheaper and cheaper labour that won't require the labour at all. Like the working holiday. Why is that? So you don't have to give people benefits, right? It's a complete and utter scam. The Labor Party has never worked for the little man. It's always worked for only the unions, the union bosses, who give the power to Labor. Through getting the members to all vote Labor, and then the members are usually worse off. And the other one is this. The cheap labour for the big corporations as well, not just the unions, but now the corporations can just forget Australians ever exist and get people for even less money. Anybody that votes Labor hates this nation. Unions should never have buddied up to Labor. You've always got to know your snakes. You always got to know the snakes. Unfortunately for a lot of people, they seem to want to trust the snake. We've got a lot of snakes coming towards us in Australia. And there's a lot of people out there that want to trust the snakes. Let me tell you, good people, don't trust them. Because the minute you turn around, they will bite you. And the Labor Party is doing that to us now.